Today on Plus One, I'll be looking at August 2020's free PlayStation Plus games, including what's already shaping up to be August's biggest hit game, Fall Guys, as well as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. That is a long title. Are either of these games the right fit for you to download and play? Let's find out, starting with Fall Guys. Like games like Rocket League before it, Fall Guys is a game that is launching on PlayStation Plus, foregoing that first month of sales on PS4 and instead opting to be made available for free to all Plus subscribers. And given the kind of game that Fall Guys is, that was probably the right choice. The best way that I can describe this game is that it's reminiscent of obstacle course shows like Wipeout or games like the classic Doritos Crash Course games, but with the trademark 2020 twist of being a battle royale game. You'll pair up with about 60 total players per game, or per episode as Fall Guys calls it, all of you playing as the protagonist of Big Hero 6 with different cosmetic skins. Players will compete in a string of about 5 different successive rounds that will slowly whittle down the player count. These rounds may vary from races to the finish line across different obstacle courses, survival modes that will attempt to knock a handful of players into the game-ending slime below, and a few team modes like soccer. Once about 10 players remain, the game moves to one final round, where the first person to grab the crown at the end or the last Big Hero 6 standing wins the episode. The gameplay is incredibly simple, which is both the greatest strength of Fall Guys and likely what'll end up limiting its total shelf life. All you've got in your character's arsenal of moves are a jump, a dive with a delayed startup, and the ability to grab onto ledges, objects, or even other players. You can even give your buddy a hug. Aw. Movement is a little bit wobbly thanks to the squishy animations, but it's more than competent for the more precise moments. It's just loose enough to leave you a little bit unsure at all times, but it's also tight enough that you'll find yourself landing on your feet after being ragdolled across the terrain by obstacles, able to continue on your stride. Its simplicity is perfect for the goofy, fast-paced fun that's present here. It's just a great game to goof around in or play during game night with your buddies or family. Episodes will rarely, if ever, last more than about 10 to 15 minutes, and that round structure helps keep it somewhat fresh. If you're looking for a more serious game, though, if you couldn't already tell, Fall Guys likely isn't the right game for you. There are currently no secondary modes. There's no way to practice the different round types outside of their live randomized rotation. This one mode is all we have. Even in the first 2 to 3 hours that I played, both alone and with a buddy, I could feel the constraints of the game concept already starting to fall in. Even with both of us playing casually, not really even paying attention, after the 7th or 8th rotation of the same handful of level layouts, it starts to become a game of, oh great, this again. There are by my count about 24 distinct round options, but in my experience, the random selection seems to favor the same handful or so. And what's more, many of these modes feel poorly balanced, others don't last long enough, and others still last too long, something that I'm more than sure will be cleaned up over time. For example, outside of your first time with it, it's unlikely that the walls on Block Party will knock you out because of how long it takes for this round to start really getting fast or remotely challenging. Same goes for the perfect match round type, where players memorize different floor tiles and jump onto the one that matches the pop-up at the end of the round. Round 1 of this 3-round mode is so easy that it's going to be mostly younger kids that get knocked out, and by round 2, everybody's piling up onto the correct answer, leaving you with no real excuse to get it wrong. If this were a mode where failure didn't instantly knock you out of the entire overall game, then you could start seeing some players sabotaging others by standing on the wrong tiles intentionally, but as it stands, it's essentially a freebie mode for all but maybe 2 or 3 people per match. There are a good number of modes with issues like these, and once you've gotten to try every different round type, you're really not gonna be caught off guard anymore. Perhaps players will get meaner over time and make it more of a challenge, but as it stands, other players aren't more than minor obstacles for most of these modes. While some of these issues may sound like nitpicks, it's a bit concerning given the game's promise and insane overnight hype that it starts to wear thin so quickly. At least for me, it's missing that one more game itch that games like Rocket League have nailed down to a science, and I fear that Fall Guys may fall out of favor quicker than it should unless the developers at Mediatonic are able to keep pushing out exciting content and variations on a near-weekly basis. I want to see this game last a good while because it's just genuine, innocent fun, and that's exactly what we all need right now. Hopefully they can stack up. The last thing I want to touch on before I give my verdict is the character customization suite, aka the microtransactions. Now, I'm not going to damn this game for having the seemingly standard two types of currency, one that's earned easily in-game and the other that's mostly locked to buying that money with real money. Nor am I going to dig into the impulse-driving cosmetic store screen that's identical in almost every single game with microtransactions, but I am going to say that it's always going to raise my eyebrow when a premium game does this sort of stuff. Remember, this game may be free for PS Plus subscribers right now, but it's a $20 game on Steam, and it'll be back to $20 on PS4 in about another 3 weeks. If this sort of thing affects you, say if you have any compulsive purchasing tendencies, consider yourself warned, but thankfully, it's not at all in your face, at least as of right now. If you didn't look for it, you wouldn't even know that this stuff is here, and really, you'll quickly notice anyway that everybody starting out wears the furry wolf costume on their default Big Hero 6. So if you set your character color to, say, green like I did, your Big Hero 6 will stand out even without unlocking a single skin through gameplay. There's a side of me that's always a bit cynical that the moment this game starts leaving the limelight and only the dedicated players are still hanging around, that they'll start shoving the premium purchases onto an enticing splash screen right upon startup, but for now, I'm hopeful that Fall Guys won't pull that crap. So with all of this in mind, should you download Fall Guys? Yes, without a question. It's the perfect game for game night. Whether you're passing around the controller with your kids or siblings, or playing in a party online, it's a good hour at least of pure, mindless fun. Longer sessions may get iffy, as I noted earlier, so perhaps treat Fall Guys as a sort of warm-up game before you get into your real game for the night if you're planning to play with friends for a few hours or longer. Hopefully we'll see some split-screen integration at some point, because this game is just begging for it. Trophy hunters, be warned though, since this is an online-only game, naturally every trophy and the platinum is locked behind tasks that will be impossible sooner or later. For example, Fall Guys has one for winning 5 full games in a row, which is going to be damn near impossible given this game's randomness. If you're looking for a game that's got no online trophies though, well, thankfully I've got just the game for you, and that's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. There's really not much I can say about Modern Warfare 2 that hasn't been said before, other than that, like my dad, I haven't thought about it in about 10 years until today. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered launched earlier in 2020, and like the title implies, it's a remaster of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2's campaign. That's it, just the campaign. There's no multiplayer of any sort here. There's no offline fighting against bots, even Spec Ops is nowhere to be found. So, if you wanted any of that, you're out of luck. But thankfully, Modern Warfare 2's campaign is still about as good as it was back in 2009, with many parts that will likely hit you a bit harder for those of you that are playing it today as adults than when you played it back then as teenagers or younger. Games like Modern Warfare 2 were at the peak of Call of Duty's single-player offerings, this masterful blend of high-octane FPS action and dozens of bombastic set pieces, with a surprisingly involved story as the backbone to all of it. For example, we all remember this game's infamous No Russian mission for its horrifying objective of committing an act of terror at an airport, but many of you may have forgotten or may never have caught that behind this mission and all of the headlines that it caused in the real-world press is an amazing triple cross. You play as a CIA agent put undercover as a Russian soldier spying on the Russian Federation's rogue leader, who takes you on a mission to open fire on hundreds of civilians at a Russian airport before shooting you and revealing that he knew that you were American, leaving your body for the Russian police to find and pinning this attack on the Americans as a pretense for war. There are so many layers to unpack there, and it's all told in a short mission that takes less than 10 minutes. Obviously, a Call of Duty campaign won't be for everybody, and given the state of the world, especially in the decade since Modern Warfare 2 hit shelves, maybe you don't want to play that mission. Thankfully, it's entirely skippable just as it was in the original, should that be the case, and skipping it won't even affect your trophy progression. But if you're looking for a fun trip down memory lane and you want to play a remarkable FPS that's held up over time, you can't go wrong here. The graphical update is great as well, at least on my end. I have nothing to really note. It looks good and it runs well, that's all I can ask. If we were talking about paying for this game, I would give it a bit more scrutiny for its removal of the original game's extra content, or in the case of multiplayer, its bread and butter, but for free, I'll give it a pass. Especially, given that PS Plus owners have gotten like 17 free Call of Duty games in the last 2 or 3 years. So that's all I've got for August's free games. Let me know what you think about this month's lineup in the comments. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to see one of these plus ones every single month, except for last month because I didn't feel like it, as well as far more interesting videos about other games and topics about once a week. For example, last month I made a video looking at the best and weirdest PlayStation commercials, including this ridiculous Uncharted 3 Subway ad. Definitely give that one a watch. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay golden. Also, I just want to say, I swear, I'm editing this video now, and I realized that it was exactly 10 minutes and 1 second. That was on accident. It's 8 minutes now anyway. Videos need to be 8 minutes to make real money, but this was not 10 minutes on purpose. Bye.